Good morning, my name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, November 10th, 2016. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. There was a 5.0 earthquake earlier today that rattled the Philippine island of Quezon. It was a magnitude 5.0. As mentioned, it had initially been reported as a 4.4. It was felt in Quezon City and in Manila. There have been no reports of any serious damage to properties, no reports of any loss of life or injuries. However, it's still a little bit early. It was a little bit of a shock insofar as it was causing office buildings in Manila to sway. The London Market Group is lobbying against a so-called hard Brexit for the insurance industry. Speaking at a conference in London today, the CEO of SCOR's Paris London hub, Malcolm Newman, said that he was pushing for transitional arrangements as the UK separates itself from the EU in the interest of business continuity and policyholder protection. He said, "Our request is to have transitional arrangements for at least 5 years. As businesses, reinsurers, and insurers, we can't wait 2 years for new rules, as would be the case under the hard Brexit." The executive explained that policyholders need certainty that they're going to be able to renew coverage and have claims paid, or else they would decide to take their business elsewhere. And if policyholders, he said, do take their business elsewhere, this would be damaging from a business continuity point of view. He said transitional arrangements would give us an answer. The London Market Group is also pushing for passporting rights to be maintained on the basis that it's in the mutual interest of both the EU and UK. Of course, the recent British court decision to insist that Parliament approve the Brexit plan will provide some reassurance to these executives, assuming the Supreme Court in England upholds it. Hannover Re says that it expects reinsurance markets to remain largely unaffected by Donald Trump becoming the next U.S. president. This is according to the company's chief financial officer, Roland Vogel. He said, "It will be important for us that the free trade of reinsurance products remain unchanged. I do not see that as being affected." The United States is the single largest market for Hannover Re, accounting for 30% of its premiums. A Chinese court yesterday, gave the head of a logistics company in Tianjin, China, a suspended death sentence over a massive explosion at the chemical warehouse last year that killed 173 people and caused well over several $1 billion in insurance claims. The court ruled that Ruhai International Logistics Chairman Yu Zhuwei paid bribes to obtain permission to illegally store more than 49,000 tons of sodium cyanide at a warehouse in the city's port for 2 years beginning in 2013. Such suspended death sentences are usually commuted to life in prison after 2 years. Various other courts in Tianjin gave lesser sentences to 48 other people. The explosion was triggered when stocks of nitrocellulose, a flammable compound with medical applications, became too dry and caught fire in the August heat. The flames then spread to illegal stores of combustible fertilizer ammonium nitrate, triggering a series of blasts that flattened the warehouse, destroyed an adjacent auto lot, and caused extensive damage to neighboring apartment blocks. A London-based trader yesterday became the second person convicted of criminally spoofing U.S. futures market when he pleaded guilty to federal charges that he contributed to Wall Street's 2010 flash crash by using manipulative trading practices. 37-year-old Navinder Sarao, who traded on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange from his parents' home near London's Heathrow Airport, pleaded guilty to 1 count each of spoofing and wire fraud. He also agreed he would repay the government $12.9 million in illegal profits he had obtained. Prosecutors said that Sarao used a computer program to so-called spoof E-mini S&P 500 futures by generating large sell orders that pushed down the prices. He then canceled the trades and bought the contracts at lower prices. The Dow Jones Industrial Average had briefly plunged more than 1,000 points, temporarily wiping out about $1 trillion in market value. Zurich Corporate Global has swung to an $86 million business operating profit in the third quarter. The The same period last year, the company had posted a $478 million loss. The result has helped group-wide operating profit surge from about $256 million up to $1.2 billion, 14% ahead of analyst estimates. The headline performance will boost recently installed CEO Mario Greco, who was looking to turn the big insurer around. Yesterday in the United States and last night in the United States, people were left dealing with the aftermath of Tuesday's Donald Trump election. There were protests in about a dozen cities during the day and last night against Trump's election. Today at 11:30, I believe it is, at the White House, President and Mrs. Obama are meeting with the Trumps. Trump will receive his first formal, very secret security briefing. And there's been a sense that, well, the roof hasn't fallen in. The stock market actually had an uptick yesterday. Futures right now are still up for today. Meanwhile, at Apple Computer, Tim Cook wrote a letter to employees pushing back a bit against some of the more divisive rhetoric uttered during the campaign. He said, "I've heard from many of you about the election. It's inevitable that the aftermath leaves many of us with strong feelings. We have a very diverse team of people at Apple supporting both candidates. Regardless of which candidate each of us supported as people, the only way to move forward is to move forward together." He said, "I recall something Martin Luther King said 50 years ago, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." This advice is timeless and a reminder that we can only do great work and improve the world by moving forward together. Mr. Trump has a bit of a honeymoon period. If he is able to recast himself a bit and actually take up the reins and lead the country, we'll see what happens. Yesterday, Mrs. Clinton announced in a graceful concession speech that she would support the president-elect in any way possible, as did President Obama. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.